A homeless shelter could be forced into your neighborhood under a new plan just announced by California Governor Gavin Newsom. Coming up, we'll tell you what Newsom is threatening to do if your city doesn't start opening up more homeless shelters and what we're doing to fight back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and I don't mean to say I told you so, but longtime listeners of this show know I told you so. And that is this recent threat that was made by Governor Gavin Newsom, directed at California cities. Here is the California Politico playbook. It says, Newsom to cities, combat homelessness or else. Look, Governor Gavin Newsom, as mayor of San Francisco, with his atrocious record in exacerbating homelessness as mayor and his absolute negligent handling of homelessness as governor, he has no right to be lecturing cities on what they should and should not be doing on homelessness, because he's actually the guy causing most of the problem here. So what is Newsom proposing? It says, quote, Governor Gavin Newsom has cracked down on cities that fall short on housing. Now he wants to do the same with homelessness. You may remember this builder's remedy law that Newsom championed. Basically, what builder's remedy says is if a city doesn't meet its affordable housing quota, and of course, who sets the quota? The governor does, that builders can just bypass the city council and build whatever they want. Again, very controversial. It absolutely eviscerates local control. It's not the right way to do planning or any sort of zoning or building permits. But that's his reckless approach on housing. Now he wants to take that same approach on homelessness. And he's basically saying that, quote, the new move means more assistance for local governments and a threat of consequences like civil penalties or lost money, as when Newsom withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in 2022. If cities and counties fail to meet obligations like approving shelters and funding outreach. Now, what are the obligations? Who makes these obligations? Glad you asked. The dictator himself gets to say, oh, I obligate you to create a homeless shelter in your neighborhood. Ever heard the term, if you build it, they will come? Yeah, the shelters. Look, I'm all for providing everyone with a clean, safe, warm bed to stay if they're homeless. Provided that, there are strings attached, provided that we enforce the rules for clean, sane, and sober living, that the homeless individuals actually are forced into treatment to break the cycle of dependency. At Reform California, we actually lay out the problems with Governor Gavin Newsom's approach to homelessness in the state. We've done a lot of podcasts on it, but in a nutshell, in California, unlike all the other 49 states, we use something called Housing First, which says that give them a condo, give them a motel room, give them access to shelters, but require nothing in return. No mental health, no drug tests, no enforcement against using drugs. No strings attached. Just give them the keys. Let them do whatever they want. And in California, we let people do whatever they want. They've got homeless people who are breaking every law. You got criminals breaking the laws, and nothing is actually happening. We have no enforcement. We don't use any leverage to force people into treatment because that would violate their rights. How about the rest of us? The right to live in peace, the right to not live in squalor and crime and grime. So Newsom is going to say, here is the quota for the number of welfare housing projects that you have to put in your neighborhoods and the number of shelter beds. He's going to mandate that under this proposal. And if your city doesn't play ball and fulfill that and build the housing projects, the welfare projects, the Section 8 welfare projects, and provide the shelter beds, then they're going to lose state funding. You'll get punished. And frankly, he's probably going to do the builder's remedy and just simply say, well, we are going to bypass the city council and we're just going to go ahead and let them build wherever they want. I warned you about this when we just had this big debate on Proposition 1. Proposition 1 was Gavin Newsom's fatally flawed ballot measure in the March primary. In that ballot measure, Newsom shamefully cut a third of local dollars for mental health treatment services. We need more money for services. We need more psychiatrists and counselors and treatment, actual diagnosis and treatment of the problem. So he cuts a third of that money, making it harder for us to deal with homelessness and the mental health crisis. And then he gives that money to the rich developers in the form of a $6.5 billion bond. So they can do what? So they can build Section 8 welfare housing projects in your neighborhood. Contained in Prop 1 was a poison pill. We warned you about this. It eliminates your right to vote down the Section 8 housing projects being put in your neighborhood. Under the state constitution, if a Section 8 housing project were to be proposed in your neighborhood, the state constitution allowed you to block that project by putting it on the ballot for a public vote. Prop 1 contains language eliminating your right to do that. And I warned everyone. I said, look, this is not just about the bonds. It's not just about the raid on mental health service funds. This is about forcing homeless shelters into every neighborhood. And the ink is not even dry on the results of the March primary. And now Newsom is moving forward with the real reason why he did Prop 1. I mean, there's a number of reasons why he did it. He wanted the money for his rich developer friends who would give him campaign contributions. But what he really wanted was that language that we pointed out and we warned you about, stripping you of your right to block these controversial welfare housing projects from being put in your neighborhood. Now you have no defense. Your city council can't help you. Your constitution does not afford you a right to fight back. You're screwed. And remember, there are no rules applied to these projects. No rules in terms of clean, sane, and sober living. They can be as rowdy as they want to be because they have rights. They're homeless people. No, they're insane. Okay. They're drug addicts. These are going to become drug dens in your neighborhood. And mind you, a lot of these folks with mental illness have engaged in a lot of bad behavior, making them offenders that are on registries. I'm just telling you, this is an absolute disaster. When I say there goes the neighborhood, I mean there goes the neighborhood. Again, I'm compassionate and I have absolutely concern for the homeless, but it takes a tough love approach to dealing with it. At reformcalifornia.org, you can see our plan for homelessness. It's called the People First Plan. It's not the Housing First Plan. It's the People First Plan, and it gets to the root cause of homelessness, mental health, and substance abuse issues. I encourage you to check out our website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org, for our better plan for dealing with homelessness. We also detail the failure of Newsom's Housing First Plan. But you can look almost anywhere to see the failure. You can see it on our streets here in San Diego. The headline in the Union Tribune this week: homelessness in San Diego County has now risen every month for record amounts of money being thrown at the problem. Speaking of record amounts of money being thrown at the problem, $24 billion has been spent since 2018. Over a 5-year period, $28 billion, more than any other state in the country. We spend more per capita per taxpayer on homelessness. We spend more per homeless individual in California, but we have the worst problem because we are absolutely coddling the individuals rather than approaching it from a tough love standpoint. We have 12% of the nation's population, but we have, ready for this, more than 50% of the nation's unsheltered population or homeless population. $24 billion has been spent, no oversight. Oh, but here comes Gavin Newsom, wagging his finger and lecturing us. Who's been in office since 2018? That's right, pretty boy himself, Mr. Hair Gel. Governor Gavin Newsom has wasted a colossal sum of money, $24 billion, your taxpayer money, money that could actually be going into solving the problem, getting to the root cause of mental health and substance abuse in these individuals. breaking the cycle. But no, he's decided to give it to his rich developers because they give campaign contributions back to him. And so we have built more Section 8 housing, permanent supportive housing units in California in the last 5 years, wasting money. It's $1 million per unit, by the way. The cheapest is like $800,000 per unit. Then, of course, we have motel vouchers that we're giving out at $6,500 per month per hobo. Insanity. $24 billion and no way to justify it. No accountability, no tracking of funds, no evaluation, no proper audits. Insane. What are Democrats doing instead? They're wasting money. They're mandating a shelter be put in your backyard. But this week, Democrats also in the legislature killed the California homeless camp ban again. This is a ban that on camps in front of schools, playgrounds, daycare centers, churches. I think we should be able to ban homeless camps everywhere. If you have a bed, and we usually do have shelter beds available, homeless people don't want to go to the shelter beds. There was a survey done up in San Francisco about a month ago. 60% of homeless people offered a bed, refused the bed. Why? They don't want to go inside. They want to stay outside. A lot of them are paranoid. They don't want to be inside a program. They are paranoid. And so they like sleeping underneath the overpass. They like to go into the parks and the canyons. Have you seen the environmental impacts of the homeless camps? The litter, the human feces? It's just insane. But Democrats don't want to have any sort of enforcement. They're okay with the camping that's going on throughout the neighborhoods. Their job is just to serve their master, the rich developers who want the money, and then they'll share a little bit in the form of a campaign contribution. At Reform California, we are leading the fight to try to restore some sanity on our homeless policies. I encourage you to go on that website, reformcalifornia.org, click under the homeless tab, because we do have a full campaign on homelessness. First, we're going to oppose all tax hikes that Democrats are putting on for homelessness programs. If you stop the money, you stop the subsidies. And at least we have a fighting chance in the meantime to then elect better state assembly members, state senators, city council members, and mayors who are going to have a tough love approach. My People First plan, I think, is the way to go. Why? Because it's working in 49 out of the other 50 states. Only California is as insane on this issue that it allows the waste of this money while lives are being destroyed and while the quality of your neighborhood is impacted. So I'm warning you, you're going to have a homeless project in your neighborhood very soon, funded by Prop 1 money, and you will be completely defenseless to fight back, unless we start turning up the heat in Sacramento. That's why I want you to go online to reformcalifornia.org, chip in a contribution, because we are recruiting candidates up and down the state of California and supporting candidates for state legislature. And yes, we are poised to look at statewide races in the 2026 election. We're going to take back our state one office at a time, but we have to work together to do that. So please chip in a contribution, like and subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment below so that we can goose the algorithm and get more of this information out to the general public. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.